Sorry for the construction in the background. Here is what I think the Pizzatime theater characters will look like if they were in the Rockstar era. Based off a fan fiction I was going to make on Chuck E. Cheese. Like the origin of Chucky, but I was going to use the Pizzatime theater characters. Chucky's the first family. Or first adopted family. They're all supposed to be family at this point. Like where they just adopt anybody. But back to my point, here's the designs. Here's Krusty the Cat. Honest to goodness, I love Krusty. I don't know too much about him though, considering the fact that online doesn't have that much information on him. But I did base his design off of Avenger Chuck. The big C on his shirt is supposed to be Chucky's inspiration to have that big C later on in the story. That's supposed to be a representation of Krusty still being his best friend. But Krusty also gave him permission to use that because his name was Chuck. Krusty is Chucky's brother figure within the story, and he's also possibly Chucky's first best friend. He never wanted... You get the point. Chucky eventually does have to leave and stuff, and out of all of the Pizzatime theater characters, Krusty the Cat is probably the most devastated. He's the youngest, so he doesn't really get to perform until later on. Later on, when he does perform, he does try imitations because Chucky taught him a few things, because Chucky watches a lot of black and white movies back then. So, you know. Now, here's Harmony Howlett. She's probably the second youngest. She's the older sister figure to Krusty the Cat within my story. In actuality, I don't know if she's supposed to be the love interest for Jasper T. Giles, but I would prefer if she was. Like, she and Jasper are probably about the same age, you know. I like the idea of Harmony Howlett being like the cowgirl character because it does strike American towards, you know, it does kind of strike American towards the Chuck E. Cheese franchise, who are pretty American in general, but now they're trying to be universal. I don't know. I love the way I drew Harmony also. I kind of wish if Chuck E. Cheese is, the company, if the company Chuck E. Cheese is watching these videos, and if they want to bring back these characters, please use my designs. I really don't mind. Now, here's Sally Sachet. She is a skunk. She was a jazz singer. There's really not much information about her, but this is what she'll look like if she was in the Rockstar era. I gave her, you know, that disco-like vibe with the earrings, the circles on her shirt. I thought putting the rings on her shirt will also fit with the earrings. Like, I thought it matches. I'm not really good at fashion. So I gave her a headband somewhere. I also gave her those disco boots that I'm pretty sure Daphne from Scooby-Doo is the only person that wears stuff like that. I gave her a ring, but that's just because the ring was in her original design. So here's the BB Bubbles. Thank you. She grew up in the circus, as far as I'm concerned. I actually don't know too much about her story. Once again, in my interpretation, these guys are all adopted. And I'm not going to lie, BB Bubbles is probably one of the best dressers in Chuck E. Cheese. Like, she got, like, the giant feather and everything. And she holds the microphone with her trunk. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of footage online about, you know, BB Bubbles actually performing. There's this one YouTube channel, which I recommend you watch, that has this lady that actually does have a BB Bubbles animatronic, but I think she uses it more in puppetry. Like, the technique is more of, like, puppets. I'm not gonna lie, that is really amazing. So, this is BB Bubbles. She also has a very high-pitched voice. I'm not gonna lie, that is kind of cute. Literally, she has, like, some of the most detail of some. And here's the Dolly Dimples and the Artie Antlers. Those two are, in my interpretation, those two are supposed to be the parental units of Chucky, or his first ever parental units, his first adopted parental units. Now, if you can remember from their history, those two have a thing with flirting and playing the piano. Little later, within my story, as Chucky lives there for, I don't know, a few days, he does stop to wonder how come Artie and Dolly aren't like a couple, because they seem perfect with each other. Like, as much as they play around with the flirting and stuff, they seem a lot more serious and a lot more stable when they talk with each other. They still flirt from here to there, but, you know. Also, they're some of the best dressers in Chuck E. Cheese. If they were in the modern era, I would still keep them wearing stuff like this. Like, Dolly, I'll give her the diamond earrings to make her look more like a blues singer. I try to make her have a little more of a blues singer vibe, if you know what I mean, because I don't get to see a lot of that within modern era of cartoons and stuff. Artie Antler, his outfit reminded me a lot of Elton John. I don't listen to Elton John that often, but still, I know him for a few songs. I'm gonna be honest, Artie Antlers, like the antlers and the hair was probably my favorite thing to draw, just because he looks very elegant. But I like the idea that his antlers might have little light up bulbs, maybe not bulbs, but like little light up things. In my interpretation of Chuck E. Cheese, I just thought that would look really cool. I'm also not gonna lie, I just love his outfit. Like, those two are also some of the best dressers within Chuck E. Cheese. Mostly Artie, in my opinion. I'm not saying Dolly doesn't look great, but in my opinion, I think Artie Antlers is probably one of the best dressers in Chuck E. Cheese, period. If not, probably the best dresser in Chuck E. Cheese, period. It's a little shame to see these guys go. I don't have all the characters like the Warblets or the Little Shavers. I will draw them eventually because I want Pasquale to have some kind of history with like the Little Shavers within my original Chuck E. Cheese story. And this is Foxy Colleen. Now, she was the hardest one for me to draw because I had to give her some kind of like Irish outfit, but all the Irish outfits I looked up on Google were a little too modern in my opinion, and you know, sometimes not everybody dresses appropriately. But then I found this one dress. It looked almost like Princess Fiona from Shrek, and I was like, I could play around with this. I gave her a little clover on her hair also. She was probably one of my top favorite ones to draw. When you say Foxy and animatronics and animatronic foxes, you're probably thinking about Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's. But ironically, Foxy Colleen was probably the first ever Foxy animatronic of Chuck E. Cheese, not of, you know. And I'm not gonna lie, I love the Irish vibe. Like, this is probably my favorite design for her. And keep in mind, I said they were all basically like family, adopted family. So basically, Foxy, Sally, let's see, it was Foxy, Sally, and I think I forgot Madam Oink. I think I have her somewhere in here. I'll just be right there. I think I have, did I drew Madam Oink? You know, the one that goes, money makes the world go round, the world go round. Okay. Sorry, this is taking a while. Maybe I didn't draw Madam Oink? I actually don't remember. Oh. You know, I guess I didn't draw Madam Oink. I did draw this cool picture of Mangled. I don't know why I keep saying that, but I just love this one. Like, this was my favorite Mangled picture I drew. Anyways, yeah, can't really find her, so I guess that's it for right now. So those are what some of the Pizzatime Theater characters look like if they were in the modern Chucky era. Thank you for watching.